All right. So before we talk about the diet or the food, how we can take away sodium, bring in more potassium. Let's talk about other behaviors that you can work on to control your blood pressure. And I know someone is asking, can high blood pressure be reversed? Yeah, I've seen people who were taking off their blood pressure medication after some lifestyle modification, so it's possible. Okay, but make sure you're not gonna do that. You don't do. Make sure you do that with your primary care giver. Do not do that on your own. Do not stop your blood pressure medications. Like I said, there's something called rebound. Some medications needs to be weaned off. You need to be like taking off those medications gradually. Like if you're on 50, they take you to 30, 20. That's weaning you off. But if you stop it abruptly, like wake up a day and go cold turkey and say, I'm not gonna take this blood pressure, your body is gonna react this. What is called a rebound effect. Your blood pressure will skyrocket and you can have a heart attack or stroke. So don't ever stop your medications on your own. Work with your primary care doctor or your primary care provider and let them know that you want to implement all this, and then they will work with you to know if you're still going to be on those medications while you're doing that, or you're going to do it together, right? But the best is do it together. And while your blood pressure is dropping and getting more stable, your doctor can easily take you off the medication one at a time. So the best bet is use this behaviors as an adjunct, as an addition to your medications. Okay, if you're not on any medication, fine, and back on this habits, very, very effective also. Okay, so we talked about stopping smoking, alcohol, reducing alcohol intake, and exercise activity. Make sure you're taking, even if you don't have to go to the gym, you're taking evening walks or morning walks, or you're pacing around in your home or in your backyard, or you're taking the staircase instead of taking the elevator. You don't have to make it very vigorous. You can make it as tolerated, what you can tolerate, and then you build your endurance or your tolerance from wherever you are. Okay, so the big one we're gonna be talking about is metabolic syndrome. I did explain about metabolic syndrome in my other videos. What is metabolic syndrome? So metabolic syndrome, like I explained in other videos, is a huge risk factor for cardiovascular diseases. It's a huge one, both for high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer. Think about the illnesses or the diseases we're dealing with today. Cardiovascular diseases, that's the hypertension, the cholesterol issues, the stroke. Think about cancer. Okay, think about diabetes, all these common issues. Metabolic syndrome, it's like number one. So what is metabolic syndrome? I explained belly fat. If you have belly fat, you should be working on that. Okay, if you have what is called insulin resistance, you should be working on that. So insulin resistant, I believe I did explain what it means. It means when you spike your insulin all the time, like when you're eating high carbohydrate food, you're spiking your insulin and your sugar level. And when your insulin level is sustained at a higher level all the time, your body will fight back. It resists the insulin, and then the insulin will sit in your blood vessels and begin to damage your blood vessels. That is what is called insulin resistance, and that can cause high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, a lot of illnesses. So fighting insulin, taking care of insulin resistance is very important in controlling these chronic medical conditions. So one way, insulin resistance, exercise again, diet, and then another one, eating less frequently. So if you haven't watched that video, please go watch it. Okay, when you eat less frequently, spread your meals around the day, eat in smaller portions. That will help prevent insulin resistance. Okay, and then Another sign of metabolic syndrome is when you have abnormal cholesterol level. That is one. When you have sustained high blood pressure, when your blood pressure is constantly above 130/80, we talked about the insulin, the glucose, we talked about the belly fat. So those are signs and symptoms of metabolic syndrome. Remember, these are signs and symptoms. Doesn't mean that if you have one or two of that, that something wrong could be going on. But if you find out that one of this applies to you, even though you're healthy, you begin to work on that, because soon your body will react. All right, so your body will react. So sometimes people are overweight, they don't have no chronic condition. So but you have to implement this healthy behavior, because over time with overweight, which causes a lot of inflammation, your body will react, especially when you go through a major stress. Your body might not recover very fast. So you have to take care of that, especially when you begin to age. Okay, so take care of the body fat, take care of your behaviors, like if you're smoking, work on stopping smoking. All right, so let's go to the big one, which is the diet. So it's very easy. I'm going to make it very easy about the things you can take to control high blood pressure. So remember, I told you guys we need to get sodium out of the body, right? And give it more potassium. Potassium is like the combat, or like the enemy to sodium. So sodium, every individual, healthy individual, should be getting about 2,500 milligrams of sodium daily. You might be asking, how is that possible? How am I going to calculate it? Let me give you an example. For me, an African lady, we make food in high quantity. Let's say when I make soup, let's say when I make my tomato stew, right? I can put all the spices and then put in like a tablespoon of salt. Yeah, salt. So you can use the Himalayan pink salt, the iodized. Look for iodized salt. It's good. We all need iodine. So I see most people like say, oh, we don't need, they buy non-iodized. You need that iodine. Okay, buy the iodized salt, like the Himalayan pink salt. A tablespoon, I season my meat, put all the spices. Like a teaspoon, I believe, is about 2,300 milligrams. So I'm only using 2,300 milligrams. And the soup that I'm making, it's going to last me for a week. And I'm not the only one eating that soup. So I'm not consuming 2,300 milligrams. So there's nothing wrong putting that a little in your food and using other spices. And then when you eat every day, like if you make your meals, that will be easier for you to control. But if you buy food outside, eating a lot of processed meal, that's gonna be very difficult. So a very healthy habit: cook your own meals, prep your own meals. Or if you have to buy, make sure you're able to find out how much sodium is in the meal. But on the other hand, if you have high blood pressure, you shouldn't be consuming more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium in a day. So that's even lesser, right? So always read your food labels if you have to buy snacks. So to control it, I'll say just stay away from snacks. Go for nuts, unsalted nuts. I love nuts. Go for unsalted nuts. Put them in your Ziploc and go out with that. You don't have to pick up snacks from the store, packaged snacks. So you can prep your own snacks. Okay, that will help also in monitoring your sodium consumption daily. And so what I did was I did see a research or a clinical trial about where they talked about flaxseed. I'm sure most of you have heard that. Flaxseed helps in controlling high blood pressure. That's very good. Flaxseed helps in controlling high blood pressure. So flaxseed, I'm going to come back to flaxseed later. Flaxseed controls blood pressure, or let's say food high in potassium. You can Google food high in potassium and begin to consume those food, right? But make sure if you are On blood pressure medications, you know those medications ending in tan, losartan, all those medications, losartan or the pril, lisinopril, captopril, those medications can increase potassium. So if you're eating this food with potassium, make sure you're doing it in moderation. All right, so that's one thing. Remember, medications also have side effects. So side effects, make sure you're reading that and speaking to your primary care provider for the side effects of those medications. So food don't have no side effects. So you're taking food high in potassium. We have sweet potato. I had to go buy that sweet potato because I know back in Africa we have a different sweet potato, but I believe, let me show you guys. So this one, I don't know what color you're seeing there. It looks orange here. So I know in Africa, our sweet potato is white inside, not that one. That one is high in glycemic index. You need this, which is very low in glycemic index, which means it's not going to spike your sugar or your insulin. This is very high in potassium. Sweet potato, they call it a red potato. You can bake it, you can roast it, you can boil it and eat. Remember, we are against deep frying. All right, now quickly, I'm just going to quickly answer a question about frying. I did talk about frying and someone was telling me, oh, are you saying frying is not good? Like, how do you prepare your eggs if you don't fry it? When I say frying, I mean deep frying. You know, when you put your oil on the pot and fry it out in smoke and pour the onions, pour the tomato, that's what I'm against. You don't deep fry your oils. Like I said, deep fry your oils will release free oxygen radicals that are cancerous. They are not healthy for the body. So what I do, like if I make my egg, I put on my pot on the gas, it's already dry, put on olive oil. I put on olive oil without turning on the heat. I mix my onions, my egg, put tomato, whatever, and then I turn on the gas, a little bit heat. I put on the egg, flip it, turn it up the heat. That's it. Like for some of us who make tomato paste, I'll talk about that later. So this sweet potato, high in potassium and low in glycemic index. This is not going to spike your glucose. No, this is very good. But make sure you're baking, boiling, roasting it. Okay? And we have avocado is also high. We have avocado is also high. I know people love this. In Africa, we love this. We eat it with our rice. This avocado very high in potassium. So if you're controlling your blood pressure or even prevention, this is good. Okay, very good. And one thing I love about this, I use it as my butter. Like if I make a toast of my bread, you see this? I slice it and then I mash it up and put, we can put, you can put onions, you can put, what else do I put? I can put my peanut butter, I can put my almond butter, mix it up, mash it, and then put it on my bread and eat. It tastes like so good that you wouldn't want to put butter on your bread. This is very good. And then other food high in potassium, we have cantaloupe, we have beans, the beans family. A lot of people, I don't know why they don't like beans. Beans is very good. Beans also high in fiber, and food high in fiber, like I said in my previous video, will help controlling blood glucose level and your cholesterol. Foods high in fiber like beans will not only provide you with potassium to prevent blood pressure, they will also help you control your blood glucose level and your cholesterol. The fiber acts like broom. The fiber in beans acts like broom in your intestine, and the bacteria are so happy that you're providing them with fiber to work with. I mean the good bacteria that we have in our guts.